Hey, everybody. Welcome.
That's a lot of haze.
It's many haze here on the weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live, where the All In crew breaks down the week in Nintendo news every Friday night on youtube.com/allinpodcast live, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hey, everybody. Danielina Hosa in the chat saying, Wahoo! Wahoo!
Wahoo indeed.
Welcome on in, my friend.
Wahoo to you.
Wahoo to you. Eric over there drinking out of
Wahoo to you as well, Seth.
Yeah, well, wahoo to you as well, Eric. Eric drinking out of his all-in mug over there. bit.ly/all-in-merch. Plug. Get yourself a nice mug, man. I'm not drinking out of my all-in mug. I needed extra coffee tonight, so I'm drinking out of a very large mug that has a lot of cats on it. So
sometimes you need more than 10 ounces of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this mug's gotta. I mean, I don't know what the ounce size would it say on the bottom. I don't know. I don't want to like tip it too far, but like,
how many ounces of coffee does this hold? None anymore.
Yeah, just all over my face. Yeah, if I had to guess, this is probably like a 24 ounce, like a 24 ouncer. That's how much coffee serious? I need tonight. I think so. It's big. It's like, I mean, like, you know, it's like almost the size of my head. This thing, it's big.
We honestly need to do like our own branded coffee at some point.
What are the logistics of that? I wonder. I there must be somebody. You know who I think has done that is Nick, the ASMR nerd. I think he's done that.
Oh, really? Nice.
So maybe I'll have to reach out to him and see what that process is like.
I'm sure we just need to buy 500 acres down in Colombia or something. Hire a bunch of, hire a whole company. I'm sure it's not too big of a deal. But regardless, happy Friday, everybody! Thank you for joining us this evening for All In's News Roundup. We've got a lot to talk about. Some big stuff, some big announcements from this past week. We're going to get into all of that. But first, Seth, first. They say first things first, and indeed the first things must come first.
Usually,
so firstly,
by the laws of physics or mathematics or whatever you want to say, the first things do need to come first. And the first thing we do here on our shows is we thank our patrons, the people who make the dreams come true over on patreon.com/allinpodcast. Special thanks to Andrew Wilkins for upgrading to the Golden Banana tier. So big thank you to Wilk for that. Shout outs to him. And actually, speaking of the Golden Banana tier, quick plug here. There's a new functionality on Patreon, Eric. I discovered this, got the email in our inbox a few days ago, and I said, oh, we're activating that. What it is you can now get a 7-day free trial of the Golden Banana tier. So if you've always been curious, like what the fuss is about, we talk about Patreon all the time, all these, amazing friends and supporters that support us over there. If you always wanted to like kind of see what the benefit of it is, if you've ever wanted to listen to an episode of All In Side Quest, which is our non-Nintendo podcast. You want to
feel what it feels like to be a golden banana.
That's right. We do a weekly podcast that's exclusive to Patreon called All In Side Quest. We do non-Tendo topics there. Many of them are fan voted, are Patreon voted, and then we do the $2 Hero Cast as well, which is patrons send me questions that I answer every week, and that's a fun time too. Kind of leave me in my office for an hour with the mic rolling and see what happens there. And that sometimes is good and sometimes it's bad. So anyways, those are 2 exclusive podcasts that you get access to at that tier, and a whole lot more, including shout outs on the show that we're about to do right now. So Wilk got access to all that stuff. But including Wilk, we got to thank the rest of our Golden Banana tier patrons like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Sean O'Baggins, Ashton, Tim A, aka NeoPrime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt, Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Solo Something, Bowza, Gamer Jason, and now, welcome on in, Andrew Wilkins. So thank you so much to our Golden Banana tier supporters. But moving into our Triforce tier, Thank you so much to Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, to John Datfast Cummins of the Retrologic podcast, as well as the On Topic Retro podcast, the Globetrotting Jet Settin' Nintendo Hub and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub right here on YouTube, Adam Caparello of the Retro Groove podcast, as well as the Octo Rock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad. Thanks, Shy Guy. And Daniel Hinojosa, who is here in the live chat right now. Shoutouts to you, Dan. Dan and Luma, and the legend himself.
The man who has a permanent 7-day free trial to be an absolute legend, Uncle Randy.
That's true. That is true. Shout outs to Uncle Randy, dude. Love you very much, Uncle Randy. Thank you so much, everybody, for your continued love and support, making the dreams come true, helping us take over the world here in this little independent Nintendo podcasting space. Helping us do it, man. And yeah, here live on YouTube to talk about the news, Eric. And there's quite a lot. This is one of those. This is what I like to call a big week for small news. This is what I like to call a big week for a lot of headlines. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing on the scale of a direct or whatever, right? But
no, well, this was something we talked about in this past week's side quest. Plug.
Mm-hmm.
We actually went over the PlayStation Showcase this past week, and of course, this is, we're just a couple days removed from June. So we're officially here in the summer news cycle for video games, which historically has always been full of incredible announcements, game-changing, earth-shattering things happening within the video games industry. And I'm really excited to see what's going to... we've already got a few big announcements. We already know about a few more big things coming up in the near future. I'm just, I'm like that Homer Simpson donut meme, like, more. More, please.
Absolutely. Well, let's just get into it, dude. What do you say?
Sounds good. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. So let's talk about it.
Hey, listen.
All right. Navi has welcomed us in to the news. Eric, what are we hitting first?
We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I think we should talk about what happened this week. Talk about the stuff that we actually know about, talk about the big announcements and big headlines from this past week's PlayStation Showcase, because it does actually pertain to Nintendo a little bit. Some of the games that were shown off at this week's PlayStation Showcase have since been confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Xbox very kind of coyly tweeted out after the PlayStation Showcase was done, hey, look at all these amazing games coming to Xbox soon.
Yeah.
But, even
best
though
thing they could have done. Nintendo should have done that, by the way. Can I just say that? Nintendo should have... Everybody should do that, because that is so confusing, especially for people like us. When you watch a showcase, and, obviously it's their showcase, right? So they're going to show stuff and just say, yeah, it's coming to PlayStation. So if I were Xbox and Nintendo, I would have done exactly what Xbox did. Like, hey, by the way, this stuff is coming over here too. And we already had like a graphic ready. Very smart. I was impressed by that.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a couple things from that showcase we know are coming to the Nintendo Switch, mostly indies. However, there is one that, even though it has not been technically confirmed by the letter of the law, we can pretty well almost guarantee that, at the very least, the Metal Gear Solid HD Legacy...
The Master Collection. Volume 1.
Volume 1, yes, which has since been confirmed, in addition to Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and the original version of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. In addition to those three, it has since been confirmed that Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake are also part of said collection. So at the very least, that is 5 confirmed classic Solid Snake / Big Boss adventures. Again, probably guaranteed. Mostly it's coming to the Nintendo Switch at some point in the future. The Metal Gear Solid Delta, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, is more than likely not coming to the Nintendo Switch because we don't have a 3DS for them to make a 3D version of it, unfortunately. That's exactly what would have happened if Nintendo had kept the 3DS. Huge missed opportunity, clearly, on their part. But at the very least, we should be. I hesitate to use the word expected because I feel like if I do that, I'm going to put too much negative juju out into the universe. But honestly, this has to come to the Switch, doesn't it, Seth?
I mean, there's no reason for it not to. And in the press release, which, by the way, this press release was like especially bad, and it seemed like it was like Google translated, because it had a lot of like repeat. It read like something that was Google translated. But anyways, in the press release, they said that this would be coming to the latest consoles. So
Yes.
I would assume that includes the Nintendo Switch. And again, there is no reason. These are not, like intensive. These are, PS1 and PS2 games. So no reason for it not to come to the Switch. I'm really, really hopeful that it is, because I want to be able to play these games on the Nintendo Switch. It's honestly just going to be great to have these games available again, because they were delisted somewhat recently. And I think within the past year they got delisted. The HD collection got delisted. So it's going to be great to have this kind of readily available again. And it's cool that they're adding in like all these other little like bonuses, all these other little bonus games and stuff. And the fact that it's called Volume 1 is very exciting, because Volume 2, I'm like, gotta have Peace Walker on there. You gotta have, maybe they're gonna do the weird stuff like Ghost Babel and like Metal Gear Acid and whatnot. Maybe they even work in Revengeance in Volume 2 or something. I would really love it.
Possibly.
When Volume 2 comes
VR
around,
missions, I've got to imagine. VR missions
probably
got to be.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me technically if that got added to Volume 1 kind of as an addendum, as a post-launch, as basically what a lot of people wanted Mario Galaxy to be for Mario 3D All-Stars, because Metal Gear
2.
VR missions, Galaxy 2, thank you, because Metal Gear Solid VR missions was basically just an addendum to the original Metal Gear Solid. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that wound up coming in some form or fashion. But yeah, all 5 of the games that we've talked about that have been confirmed for this collection could all fit onto a Switch cart.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm really, when they do Volume 2, this is my plea to Konami. Well, first plea, yes, please, Konami, bring this to Switch. I will be very disappointed.
Make Seth cry, Konami.
I'll be very upset. I really, like, if it's only on PS5, I'll play it on PS5 begrudgingly, but please, bring this to the Nintendo Switch. I want to be able to play this on Switch. For Volume 2, work Metal Gear Solid 4 into it, because Metal Gear Solid 4 has never been properly re-released. It has been on the PlayStation 3 and has stayed there. So it would be great to have that worked into. So
well, the Metal Gear Solid HD color, or the Metal Gear HD collection that came out on the PS3 was just an amazing collection. It really was. And I don't know how many bells and whistles and galleries and jukeboxes are going to be added to this master collection. But, I mean, at the very least, we've had Twin Snakes, and we've had Peacemaker, and we've had Metal Gear Solid 3 3D. But I in terms of Nintendo Switch Metal Gear, or in terms of just Nintendo Metal Gear experiences, the first Metal Gear Solid in that form, Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3 in this form, those are things that we've never seen on a Nintendo platform. And of course, it's been since the NES. So I don't even think that they've released Metal Gear or Metal Gear 2 on the Virtual Console, on the Wii or Wii U either. So it's been a long time since, even though those originated on Nintendo consoles, it's been a long time since Nintendo players have had access to them, readily at least.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. I'll be very disappointed if this does not come to Switch. So we're hoping. It is coming this autumn, regardless. So we should be hearing one way or another pretty soon. It was weird to me that this got announced during that PlayStation Showcase, with, much like most of the PlayStation Showcase, as we talked about on All In Side Quest this week, didn't get a date, like a lot of the stuff. No hard date whatsoever, and no confirmation of what those platforms were. So that seemed very strange to me. It makes me wonder if Konami is planning like their own separate communication, because there was also a lot of like other Konami things that were percolating. There were rumors of like a Castlevania project. We also
Yeah.
didn't see much of the Metal Gear Delta, so I am kind of curious. Maybe Konami has their own showcase planned for a little bit later in the year, or as you and I have speculated, I don't know if we have said this on the show or if you and I have just kind of speculated this privately, but like you and I think that there's probably not going to be a like Nintendo first party direct. It's probably going to be a partner showcase.
Partner showcase, yeah.
This summer, and maybe this is there.
Following on from what they did last year.
Right.
Because we were all expecting that big E3 direct, but it turned out to be a big partner showcase, which was still fantastic.
Right.
But they saved the big proper Nintendo Direct blowout for September, which it looks like, especially considering, Nintendo Live and everything going on around that time frame. It kind of looks like that's what Nintendo's positioning already to do this year. So yes, you and I both kind of are in agreement that probably a partner showcase, maybe an indie world, but probably a partner showcase.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good candidate to be there. If that is what is going on here, I think maybe Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, that would be smart for Konami too. For Konami to sort of like hitch their horse to that wagon, because everybody watches those, and they could kind of like, get 2 hits of publicity there. It would be kind of smart. So I'm hoping that's what's happening here. So
well, it's kind of what's been happening with the Nintendo Switch anyway. Is this has already happened several times within the fighting game scene, where the Nintendo Switch isn't getting the latest and greatest, i.e. in this case Metal Gear Solid Delta, but we are getting really cool collections of prior games in the franchise. We got Capcom Fighting Collection instead of Street Fighter 6. We're getting King of Fighters 13 Global Match instead of KOF 15. So the Nintendo Switch has been getting some really cool, somewhat consolation prizes from some of these big developers who are still wanting to tap into the fact that Nintendo has more than 120 million of these things out in the wild. So like Konami, release it. You'll sell more copies of that Master Collection on the Nintendo Switch than you'll probably sell of Metal Gear Solid Delta on the PS5.
Certainly, then it would certainly be the best-selling platform for the Master Collection. Certainly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. But there are a couple of other little kind of things to hit here from the PlayStation Showcase, weirdly. A few little things that either were explicitly confirmed for Switch after the fact, or were already known quantities, or a couple little things maybe that we think are probably coming to Switch, making some educated guesses. Something that we know is coming to Switch is the new game from the Greece developer, called I don't know if it's Neva or Neva or something. I don't know.
NEVA.
NEVA. Take your pick. It'll be just as ambiguous and difficult to pronounce as Greece is. So I think that was their goal here. They're like, can we make something that has people arguing about the pronunciation as much as Greece? So
well, when you see the cinematic trailer, and that's unfortunately all this was for Neva, because it isn't even coming out this year, it's coming out next year. So unfortunately we didn't get even a hint of gameplay in this, but it's immediately apparent if you played Grease that this is absolutely a follow-up from that same developer. It's got this hand-drawn, kind of lengthy, like a children's mythology book look to it, essentially. But it looks absolutely stunning. This young woman is traveling with this be-antlered, white-haired wolf and her pup, and then some ambiguous dark force attacks them. There's not really much to go off of, but you and I are both big fans of Grease. We featured it a little while back in an indie showcase on the main show, and I mean, just because of Grease, you and I are already looking forward to this, having not seen any gameplay yet, though I will be interested to see. I do not imagine this is going to be a very gameplay intensive game, because Grease wasn't. Grease was much more about artistic expression, about the experience, about the somewhat surreal and abstract narrative being told. And I imagine this is going to be something similar. Don't look for a gameplay intensive experience from this. Look for an experience that may make you question your life.
Yeah,
in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. Grease was it was a puzzle platformer, but it had like the puzzle solving was pretty light. There wasn't a whole lot of like danger. It's a very sort of like no frills, experience, all about just sort of absorbing the art and the music and everything, and a very ambiguous story too. I do expect similar things from this. I mean, you could, like you said, you could tell it's from the same developer, and they're already tapping into those like emotions with the trailer. The art is gorgeous. I imagine the
Yeah, it
game
is.
just, even though we didn't see gameplay, I imagine the game just looks like that. Like, I imagine that's just how the game looks. So
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
But
So.
that's not the only indie game that we know is coming to the. Excuse me. That's not the only game that we know is coming to the Nintendo Switch. A game that was already a known quantity, but frankly, just keeps looking better as far as I'm concerned. Is the Plucky Squire, which. I mean, if it looks half as good, and this is something I said during our side quest, if it looks half, or if it plays half as good as it looks like it does, it has a very real chance of being shortlisted as my favorite indie game on the Nintendo Switch. The Plucky Squire looks absolutely sensational and continues to. The way that they are incorporating 2D and 3D elements with just gorgeous art direction and just incredibly this just personality and love emanating from absolutely every frame of this game. I don't know if I've seen a game in recent memory that was as clearly put together with as much care and love as this one has. It's going to be special. It really is. If you are into indie games whatsoever, Plucky Squire needs to be firmly on your radar at this point.
Yeah. If somehow you haven't heard of the Plucky Squire yet, check out this new gameplay trailer. It looks like it's going to be really, really special. Yet again, no date. It's still just 2023, sometime this year. Could be that Devolver is hanging on to this for their own showcase for a release date reveal. Could be this is the kind of thing we get a release date reveal during like a future Indie World or something. Who knows? But at this point, we don't know the date beyond 2023. I hope it comes out in 2023 because we need it for fantasy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We saw the first trailer for this and we were like, we are drafting that game for our fantasy critic against the Nintendo pals. Again, it just based on one trailer, we drafted that game. That should tell you all you need to know about how good this game looks.
Yeah, cannot wait. A game that, to be honest, if I'm being just brutally honest here, I don't really know anything about this series or like what the gameplay is like. I'm curious to check it out, but I mostly wanted to highlight this because it was confirmed for Switch after the fact and because the title is so good. I'm a sucker for a good title. Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's a very good title. I like it a lot. And I don't know. I want to play it just based on the title alone. The art style looks cute. Kind of looks like a 2D little action adventure, kind of like No Frills, cutesy, kind of Zelda-ish, So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a Cat's Quest game. This isn't going to be the first Cat's Quest game on the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
But it does look pretty cool. You play as a cat pirate, which makes absolutely no sense to me because cats hate water, this one included. There's actually a really funny moment.
Makes it a good pirate. That means they're gonna do everything they can to stay out of the water.
He fails and she fails and literally the first sequence of the trailer though. So I don't know, maybe not the best pirate, but it looks like it's going to be absolutely adorable fun. They did show off several different gameplay mechanics, so it looks like there's going to be a decent amount of variety in there. The visual style is incredibly poppy. It jumps right off the screen. So, yeah, it looks really cool. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Cat's Quest.
The title alone makes me want to play it. The other one, this is one to hit on here real quick that we don't know a whole lot about at all, and we're basically just assuming it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. But Revenant Hill, which is looks to be, by my estimation, it is either going to have very little to nothing to do with Night in the Woods, or it's a Night in the Woods prequel. And Night in the Woods is one of my favorite games, and like I am very, very intimately familiar with Night in the Woods, and I was able to pick up a few like overt ties to Night in the Woods in the trailer. However, and they're very clearly evoking Night in the Woods with the trailer anyway. However, I don't know what's happening here. Like, it's the kind of thing where, like, as much as I'm familiar with this world, I've got no clue what Revenant Hill is going for. It is the same developers. So Night in the Woods was made by 3 developers. One of them sadly passed away several years ago, and the other 2, Scott and Bethany, formed this indie studio called the Glory Society in 2019, and they have been working on Revenant Hill, I believe, since then. So it's already quite a ways deep into development, and it's coming next year. Confirmed so far for PS4 and PS5 and PC, but Scott on Twitter has alluded to it coming to other platforms. I'm assuming that the Nintendo Switch will be one of them. So
yeah, they did drop some more information after the trailer was released in the PlayStation Showcase. The developer did come out on Twitter and expand on a couple things, including the cat's name, which is Twigs.
Twigs.
That's adorable.
Yep. Yeah, it's Twigs. It's taking place in 1919. So it's going to be, you know, at least in terms of them establishing a year, it will be a prequel to Night in the Woods. What I'm curious about is, you know, the opening shot of the trailer is the cat, Twigs, is very clearly trying to evoke May from Night in the Woods. They have those same nightmare eyes that May has in Night in the Woods. And it, you know, being a talking cat, just like May was. So I'm really curious, and even like the title screen of Revenant Hill is calling back to Night in the Woods. They're very, you know, they're clearly evoking Night in the Woods here. And in fact, Twigs in the beginning of the trailer is like sleeping on a statue that we see erected in Possum Springs in Night in the Woods in front of their church. So there is like some weird connective tissue going on here, but beyond that, I don't really know what's happening, because there's also like a talking like farmer skeleton and like
like just a skeleton shows up for no reason whatsoever. But it looks really cool.
Apparently the from what they were saying, I guess like one of the things is you're to be like a witch's familiar or something like that. So it's got these kind of like witchy vibes too. I'm gonna be really interested to see anybody who played Night in the Woods. There's some like culty stuff that happens in Night in the Woods too. So I'm very, very interested to see if this is like a straight prequel, if this is like an alternate reality or something like that. But in any case, yeah, I'm very, very excited about this one, and it should be coming to Switch.
Should be coming to Switch, absolutely. We'll see. What do you think the chances of Sword of the Sea coming to the Nintendo Switch?
0.
Really?
Yes, 0. That's not happening. No way. That game's not going to run on Switch.
Sword of the Sea from Giant Squid, the same people who did Abzu, which is on the Nintendo Switch, but you think there's a 0 chance that comes to the Nintendo Switch?
0% chance. No, so like, yeah, their previous games, Abzu and the Pathless, are the thing is like their scale is so much smaller than what we've seen even just in the trailer for Sword in the Sea, or Sword of the Sea, whatever it's called. It looks beautiful, but like it's so big and like open, and there's so many effects going on at all times, like the shifting sands and the underwater environments underneath the sands, and like the skate tricks on your floating hover sword. Like, I would love for it to come to Switch, but I don't think there's a chance it does. And if it does, maybe they can get it to run like at a severe, you know, downgrade or something. Like maybe they can like knock down some of those effects, but I really don't think it's going to come to Switch. Maybe on like Switch Pro, Switch 2, whatever we end up getting, something a little more powerful. But just based on what we saw, I can't imagine that runs on Switch. But hey, I've been wrong before. I didn't think It Takes Two would come to Switch. So
yeah,
who knows?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't. I don't know if it is, but I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. And of course, you know, the pedigree behind the studio. This is the same studio that did Journey. We've already mentioned Abzu and the Pathless, of course. Journey are arguably their magnum opus. So, you know,
well, it's not the same studio. We should be clear about that. Not the same studio. In fact, a lot of the like main players of Journey are not part of Giant Squid. So just don't want to put misinformation out there. Some of the Journey developers though are founding members of Giant Squid. So they did work on Journey. Yeah. Yes.
But I don't know. I would like to see it come. We'll see what happens. At the very least, hopefully it does come to the Switch too. I don't know. I'm calling it right now. I could be wrong about this. I'm calling it right now. I have a good feeling about Dragon's Dogma 2.
Really?
I do, yeah.
Well, I hope I'm wrong and you're right, dude. I envy your optimism. Yeah, I don't think I mean Dragon's Dogma 1 is on Switch, but Dragon's Dogma 1 is
Yeah.
also a PS3 game, so so yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2 does look pretty good. It does look very good. I got a feeling about that one. So I'm throwing I know it's a little bit of putting myself out on a limb there, but I got a feeling, so I'm going to throw my hat into that one.
I mean, it's running on that RE engine that Monster Hunter Rise runs on. So, who knows? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Anything else you kind of got your fingers crossed for from that showcase?
No, not really. I mean, there's some of those, some of those indie games that I think are, more likely than others, but I think we've hit on the big ones that I think are actual possibilities.
Well, I mean, clearly we're getting Spider-Man 2, obviously.
Clearly, yeah. Obviously. Clearly. Come to Switch. Yeah.
Nah. But yeah, that's for PlayStation Showcase. I thought it was a really good show. Really looking forward to those games that we know are coming to the Nintendo Switch. Very nice way to kick off this, summer game news season. So many big shows happening around the next month. Honestly, you and I were kind of completely blindsided by another show that also happened this past week.
That's right. Yeah, the Marvelous Showcase happened, I think, last night, or whatever that equivalent would be in Japan, because it was a Japanese showcase. Daniel Hinojosa in the chat says, "It takes 3 when." I guess we'll see. These games are about like a married couple, so that'd be a very different kind of game. It takes 3. So
well, I mean, they're terrible people, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Hey, I don't judge. I don't judge whatsoever. However, yes, the Marvelous Showcase happened, and again, nothing in this showcase was explicitly confirmed for Switch. However, considering what some of these announcements are, they seem like pretty safe bets. The biggest, I think, headlining announcement here being a sequel to the strange mech game Daemon X Machina, this one called Titanic Scion, which that's a collection of words, all right. And that is coming at some point, and again, no platforms announced, but is likely to come to the Nintendo Switch. The first one was actually kind of a big marquee, it was I think a Switch console exclusive when it came out.
Yeah, so. Nintendo really tried to make Daemon X Machina a thing. They even added spirits to it for Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
So they were really trying to make Daemon X Machina a thing back when the first one came out. It never, I don't feel at least like it really ever got a lot of steam.
No.
Maybe it's a cult classic. Maybe it has like a small dedicated following. I don't know. I had the demo on my Nintendo Switch for no joke about 2 years. And never wound up playing it. It did look like a decently cool game. I just unfortunately had a lot cooler games that I was slightly more excited to play.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But I don't know. We'll see what this one looks like. It looks like kind of, I don't know if I'm completely off base here, but the first one kind of looked like a pseudo-spiritual successor to like Zone of the Enders or something.
A little bit. But, I played the demo for the first one, and they throw you in these pretty big open spaces, and I don't know, like it just didn't. I found it kind of boring, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I know there are people who like it, so I mean, hey, they're making another one.
Yeah, more power to you. Yeah. If you're excited for the new Daemon X Machina, more power to you. I hope it's fantastic. But I don't know. Maybe they'll put the other one. That's what they need to do. A free game trial for the first Daemon X Machina prior to the second one coming out. That's what Nintendo needs to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would definitely get me to try it. I'll tell you that. And it would probably sell a couple more copies of the sequel if they did that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good pull. They also kind of officially unveiled a couple of Rune Factory games. Rune Factory 6, which I've never played a Rune Factory game, but I know there are people who are way into Rune Factory.
Yeah.
And then Rune Factory Project Dragon, which I think is actually going to have a co-op focus. For what they were talking about, and they showed some artwork of like dragons and whatnot. And Rune Factory is like, from what I understand anyway, and again, I've never played any of these, but this is like a farming sim, like a Harvest Moon meets Final Fantasy.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
that's always been kind of the one sentence pitch for Rune Factory. Is it's Harvest Moon / Stardew Valley meets Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It was, it was basically like Harvestella without the things that made Harvestella, if that makes sense.
Because it's like steampunk, isn't it? Rune Factory. It's got kind of like a steampunk aesthetic. Yeah. So I mean, this is a long running series that was really popular on like 3DS and stuff too. So
yeah,
I know people will be excited about that. Another long running series that they announced, that a couple of new Story of Seasons games in development. I didn't even know that Marvelous had the rights to Story of Seasons. Like, I literally...
If you want farming sims, Marvelous has you covered for the next year, basically.
They got you. Yeah, and they also said during the showcase that they will be localizing each of these games. So even though it was kind of like, it reminds me of when Level 5 said the same thing at the end of their showcase, because it was a Japanese showcase, they ended the showcase saying, by the way, we're localizing all of this. So that is cool. If you are a Western fan, hoping to play some of these, it sounds like you will get the chance to. So
yeah.
Very cool.
Looking forward to it. I'm probably not going to play any of these, but I do know there are Rune Factory fans. I know there are Story of Season fans, and I know that there's got to be a few Daemon X Machina fans out there who were excited for all of these announcements. So we told you about them.
Yeah, and they will. All of those will probably come to Switch, right?
Yeah,
like I would assume, right? So yeah, so we had that. The big sort of kickoff happening soon is Summer Game Fest as well. We had the Sony showcase, had the Marvelous showcase, leading up to June 8th when Summer Game Fest is happening. And that, Eric, I know you're excited about. We talked a lot about Mortal Kombat 1 last week, but during the Summer Game Fest, that's when we're going to get the gameplay premiere of Mortal Kombat 1. So.
Yeah, really weird. A lot of people thought it was really weird that it wasn't going to happen at this PlayStation showcase. They obviously announced Mortal Kombat independent of the PlayStation showcase last week, and a lot of people were just kind of thinking that, okay, cool, they announced it here, and then we'll have the gameplay reveal. We got the cinematic trailer now here, independent, and we're going to get the nice 1-2 punch. We'll get the gameplay reveal at the PlayStation Showcase. That actually didn't happen. They did, right before the PlayStation Showcase, specifically announce the gameplay reveal was going to take place at the Summer Game Fest kickoff show with Jeff Keighley. So we got to wait a little bit longer for it. Not too much longer, but just a little bit longer to see how the brand new Mortal Kombat is going to work in motion. Seth and I are in complete agreement on this. They will not be showing the Nintendo Switch version of that game.
No, but again, if they do the partner showcase, Nintendo does that, I think there we will see Mortal Kombat 1 Switch gameplay. So
I hope so. I really do, because this is a game that, and this is something I said last week, this is a game that I am hopeful but incredibly cautious about the Switch port for.
Yeah.
So the Switch port is being handled by the same developers, the same studios who handled the MK11 Switch port. But of course, that this is one of my most anticipated games of the year. I can't wait to see how it actually works in motion. We only have a little over a week left to wait. June 6th, we're going to finally see what Mortal Kombat
June 8th. June 8th.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We're finally going to see what Mortal Kombat 1 looks like. Like I said, there's a few things I'm hoping for. I hope Brutality's come back. There's a few characters I'm pulling for. This whole cameo character mechanic is,
interesting.
They're good. They're going to be deconfirming playable characters with this game. So there's going to be a lot of broken hearts. This game is going to leave a lot of broken hearts in its wake leading up to its release. But I'm still very, very much looking forward to it. We will see what happens. But in addition to, Summer Game Fest and future shows that we know are coming, we actually got a little bit of a tease about another big direct coming soon. We don't know necessarily when. However, Devolver Digital, the studio behind 3 of the games from this past week's PlayStation Showcase, did specifically tweet out, ironically enough, earlier today, just a couple hours ago as we are recording this, that details of their forthcoming Devolver Direct, of this year's Devolver Direct, will be coming next week. And if you've never seen a Devolver Direct, it's an experience, to say the least. Last year's was, for me, incredibly underwhelming. It was cool that they had Suda there, but
they didn't do anything with them, though.
They didn't do anything with them. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm a little over it. Can I be real? I'm a little over it. Like the whole like Devolver Direct thing. I'm a bit over it. I'm a bit like kind of okay. Like it's funny or whatever, but it takes like they weave like this whole story. They direct like a short film around.
It has gotten to the point where they're a little bit too into themselves when it comes to their presentation and the trailers themselves. Especially last year. You could argue it's been happening for the past couple of years, but especially last year, the actual announcements and trailers did suffer for the sake of their art that they were trying to create. So I hope that they take a step back, make sure the games are more front-facing this year. But Devolver, I mean, we talk about Devolver Digital games all the time.
Yeah, they're great.
Devolver puts out a ton of amazing games. So I am still really excited for what we're going to see here. We very well may see a couple trailers that we saw at that PlayStation showcase. Wouldn't surprise me necessarily if they replayed the trailers for Plucky Squire, for even the Talos Principle, and a couple other things. But still, it's Devolver's games. Devolver publishes a lot of really quality stuff. We've done indie showcases on probably a dozen different Devolver games at this point, maybe even more. So I do hope they take a step back from the insanity and, again, make the games more front-facing this year. But I am still very excited to see what the details of the forthcoming Devolver Direct are going to be next week.
Yeah, I imagine that they're going to be in pretty close proximity to Summer Game Fest. We also know, so Summer Game Fest is happening June 8th. Immediately following the Summer Game Fest kickoff is Day of the Devs. Wholesome as well, but Day of the Devs is immediately after Summer Game Fest. So we know that like these kind of big indie like events are happening. I imagine Devolver is going to be in pretty close proximity to all of that. And yeah, they're an amazing publisher. They publish amazing games. They're, I mean, probably the premier indie publisher at this point. So I'm excited to see. They tweeted out this thing where they said they had like 4 redacted things that they're showing at the showcase. I don't know if that means that we're going to get 4 game reveals or not, but I imagine we're going to get at least, rehashes or updates on things that we know about. And I'm hoping for at least 1 or 2 new game reveals. So
yeah.
Well,
at the very least, they confirmed that we'll be getting new information, which, I mean, we kind of expected. This is the time of the year for new information anyway. But it is still nice for them to throw that little carrot out on a stick, even though we know that carrot's already there. For them to just tap the carrot and be like, hey, don't forget, we got new stuff coming from Devolver soon. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah, and another thing, if I want to keep my speculating hat on for another second, when they tweeted it out, they positioned Devolver Direct in between PlayStation Showcase and the Wholesome Direct. So it could be that they're putting the actual placement of Devolver Direct before Wholesome. So I don't know. We'll see.
Very possibly.
We're getting details on it next week. So we will be watching it for sure.
Yeah.
They
tweeted it out. Yeah, they tweeted it out with a picture that I can't remotely tell what's in the picture.
I don't know either.
I have no clue what that picture is. It's some shadowed figure that you can barely even make out the outline and silhouette for.
It looks like a cartoon mouse or something.
It's a Rorschach basically. You'd be like, it's a steampunk butterfly. No, it's actually, a dragon with ice wings, or it's a Rorschach. You can basically see whatever you want to in that thing, but we'll see what it actually is come Devolver Direct, whenever that is in the near future. We'll let you guys know.
That's right. But we also wanted to hit this real quick. This is just a teaser trailer, but you and I, big fans of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and we know that there's going to be 2 hits of DLC forthcoming for the game. We already got the Tower of Doom with many O's. And we knew that we were getting another one in the summer, and then kind of crescendoing into the big Rayman DLC this holiday.
Which is going to stink.
Which is hopefully going to be awful, so the Nintendo pals get no points for it. But no, I'm obviously excited for both of these, and we don't have a hard date for this new one beyond mid-2023, but we did finally get an actual teaser trailer for it, and we have a title. It's called The Last Spark Hunter. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So the Spark Hunters were a group of Rabbids that you encountered throughout the course of the main game, and I don't really want to say too much beyond that, but it was clear that they were a fairly tight-knit group, at least at some point, and apparently from this teaser trailer...
Andros is watching. He's in the chat. He just goes, rude! Sorry to interrupt, but I just had to shout that out. Sorry, Andros. We want to win this fantasy critic, dude.
I mean, we're going to, but we also want to. So.
Sorry. Continue,
he was
please.
Probably just saying it was rude that we were declaring our victory already, and he has to live with himself the next half a year knowing that he's going to lose. But that's neither here nor there. I'm still really excited for this. I do think this is going to be fun. You and I really, really like Sparks of Hope. It's upgraded Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle in virtually every way. And the DLC for the first one was fantastic. The Donkey Kong DLC for the first one is still one of my favorite DLC campaigns on the Nintendo Switch. So, I mean, this is another one that I'm looking forward to. If I'm being honest, I am still looking forward to the Rayman one just a tad more.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell Andros. But I still think this is going to be a lot of fun. I do hope, I hope that it's a decent length. I hope that it's more than just a couple side missions. I hope this DLC campaign has at least a little bit of meat on the bone.
Me too.
Because that season pass was like $25 or something.
Yeah, well, and they show this new character on what looks like a new planet. So that's what I'm hoping this is. Like a new planet being added to the, because that's kind of the structure of the game, is planet by planet kind of hubs. And so what I'm hoping is they've added another planet with another. I would be really happy with that. If that's what it is, I would be very happy with that. So
that'd be fair.
See. Yeah, we'll see. The last Spark Hunter, still no date beyond mid-2023, but hopefully this is another thing we learn about in due time. Again, this is another thing that would make sense at the partner showcase, right? This is a Ubisoft published game. So I feel like this week I'm kind of just like, I got my magnifying glass here. I'm just like kind of picking little things. I'm like, maybe we're starting to piece together a partner showcase here this week.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was something that they shadow dropped during a supposed partner showcase this next
be a great
next month.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. But a couple weird stories here toward the end. After completely backpedaling on Pokemon Home functionality. And when when the new 3.0 update for Pokemon Home was going to take effect, Pokemon did finally come out and say, it's like, okay, actually, the Pokemon Home 3.0 update, Pokemon Home is going to be going down for maintenance here in just a couple days. As a matter of fact, as we're taping this, it's going to be going down on May 29th. For a day and a half. They're going to put it back up, hopefully May 30th, and that will actually be the new 3.0 update functionality for Pokemon Home after accidentally revealing an incorrect date a while back. So now we actually have the real date, and it's just a couple days away. Still, hopefully. Weird story. Really, I mean, see, here's the thing, like, I really do like Scarlet and Violet, but Nintendo's handling and specifically the Pokemon Company's handling of the game post-launch, just seems like it's more and more bumbling, because they even released a new patch for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I think just this past week.
Yep.
But like it didn't like it was all like competitive focus. It didn't even really do anything to the game itself necessarily, and a bunch of the different fixes that we've been waiting on for half a year now.
It's already been 6 months. Yeah.
So, and you've got this kind of weirdness with, hey, this is happening on this date. Oh, actually, sorry, we shouldn't have said that. We actually don't know when it's going to happen. A few days later, oh, it's actually going to happen in a few days from now. I was like, what is going on over there, guys?
Mm-hmm. And they want you to feel confident enough in them to go ahead and just buy like an expansion pass and be excited for expansions coming out this year. We used the word embarrassing last week, and I think that's the best word for it. So,
but at the very least, we know that this 3.0 functionality is coming within the next week. I'm cautiously optimistic that it works as intended by this time next week, but we'll see, because this added functionality is the Pokemon, I was about to say Sword and Shield, it is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet stuff that we've been waiting on, that, since those games came out, right? This is the Scarlet and Violet update.
Yeah, well, this is, people wanted Pokemon Home, to work with Scarlet and Violet. So after this, it will. So that'll be good for for the people who have been waiting on it. So hopefully that's coming next week after this. Barring any unforeseen circumstances. So we'll see.
But that wasn't actually even the weirdest thing that happened this past week. I love this story.
Me too.
So much. This is one of the most bizarre things that I've ever seen in the video games industry, frankly. It's ultimately not going to have too much of an impact necessarily, except on one indie developer and their game. But I'm sorry for their inconvenience, but this is absolutely hilarious.
I think it was low key. It ended up working in their favor.
It got them a lot of free PR.
It made me more interested in the game, frankly. Because
true.
All right, let's break this out. This is a funny story. So this indie game, Sunshine Shuffle, which we saw at a showcase. Can't remember if it was in an Indie World, whatever. We've seen it before. And this is like a kind of cutesy, funny game that is all about kind of sitting around on a boat with these like cute animal characters who are apparently bank robbers, and they're just like kind of talking about their life experiences and stuff like this over a game of cards. And that's what the entire game is. And it's made by a pretty small team who made like that airport for dogs or whatever, like that very long title. I never played it, but I always heard good things. Very like funny games that these people make. And the I think the studio head, his name is, I believe, Xalavier Nelson Jr., I think is his name. And
that's a name.
Yeah, and he's like pretty, I guess he's like fairly big on like TikTok and stuff. And so he was making TikToks about his upcoming game to promote it. And he was sort of like jokingly replying to TikTok comments who were saying like, oh, like this is going to teach kids how to gamble and stuff like this. And oh, this is going to have microtransactions. And he was kind of just like making jokes about it. But he took the bit too far, and Nintendo America flagged it and blocked it for sale on the eShop. And he actually had to go in and like plead to them and explain to them that no, this is just a joke. There are actually 0 microtransactions in the game, completely a joke, and this is not intending to teach kids how to gamble whatsoever. The game is rated appropriately. Everything's on the up and up. We just took the bit too far. And so Nintendo has unblocked it for sale. It's now got a new release date of May 31st on the North American eShop. But it was a very funny situation of like, keeping it PG, mess around and find out, so pretty funny.
This wouldn't have been an issue if Nintendo actually did a decent job on QA on the games that are released on their own platform. Just say, you and I have talked at length about the number of let's just say subpar titles that make their way into the Nintendo Switch constantly, and how there seems to be basically no bar for entry, and that Nintendo seal of quality that used to mean something to us, that icon emblazoned on every cartridge that used to mean something. It's pretty clear that Nintendo doesn't even play the games at this point that are showing up on their own console.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, like, it has become, there's such a glut of games now on the eShop that it's become impossible for them to keep up with it. But in a situation like this, where, because you've highlighted the real problem here, which is in a situation where you are actually going to put the ban hammer down, you are actually going to bar a game for release, you should probably have somebody doing the base level of research to say, hey, like, this isn't allowed. There was a game that came out on Switch like a few weeks ago that was like a hentai puzzle game. And it's like, hang on, that's cool, but Sunshine Shuffle isn't, So like, it very, very clearly no actual moderation happening there at Nintendo. And it is unfortunate. Like, you would think that if you're going to, because this is the kind of thing that could affect a person's livelihood, that could affect the studios. livelihood, and so thankfully I think that because of his tact and the way that he has sort of blown it up on Twitter and kind of had fun with it and stuff, I think that a lot of people, myself included, are looking at this now like, well, now I kind of want to buy the game just to support it.
You want to see what all the fuss was about, essentially.
Right. So I think it actually probably helped him more than it hurt him, but that isn't always going to be the case, and it makes you wonder how many times this has happened and not been reported on. So
I just imagine that conversation at Nintendo. Sir, just want to let you know I blocked this one game that was going to be coming out on the console next week. I've went ahead and blocked that. Okay, cool. What's your basis for blocking that game? TikTok, sir. TikTok.
Yeah, some
That's
jokes.
right.
Some jokes on TikTok.
Exactly. I'd be like, it's like, hey, professor, this is my thesis, my final paper, my thesis for my master's degree. Okay, cool. I see here you referenced BuzzFeed, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's basically the comparison that I made in my own mind.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I hope that Nintendo sees stuff like this and is encouraged to do better, but that's all we can do is hope in that regard. Anyway, the game comes out on the 31st. So if you are interested, maybe check out a trailer, see if it's the kind of thing you would be interested in supporting, and show them that you want to
teach your kids to gamble, apparently.
If you want to teach your kids to gamble, go right ahead. Microtransaction laden mess.
Yeah, I hear you have to buy each of the cards individually.
Right. That's what I hear too. Yep. So gonna gift it
At least I heard that on TikTok, so it must be true, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Sunshine Shuffle coming next week, but let's hit the games that came out this week, Eric.
Yes, there were a couple big ones that came out this past week, including a game that you can see right now on our new refreshed YouTube channel. Our very own $2 hero, Seth, made a video about the recently released Cassette Beasts. Didn't you, Seth?
That's right. Yeah, I played about the first hour of it here on the YouTube channel. Big thanks to our friends at Raw Fury for providing us a copy of the game for review, and I've been playing it. You're going to hear more about it on the main show that drops tomorrow. Links to the main show and all our podcast feeds are always in the video description. So hear more about it there. But yeah, if you want to watch the first hour or so, Cassette Beasts is essentially, the way I sort of pitch it is, it's like a Pokemon style RPG with the vibes of like Earthbound or Steven Universe, with a very kind of interesting gameplay hook. But if you're into the sort of monster taming, monster collecting RPGs, Cassette Beasts should be on your radar.
Yeah, I really, really want to check this out. I hope I have some time to do it. But in addition to that, a game that you and I have had our eyes on for quite some time, even though at this point we're still not 100% sure who even made it.
We'll never be sure. We'll never be sure.
Bat Boy from maybe Sunzai Games, maybe X Plus Games, who knows? But Bat Boy, a NES-inspired action platformer where you play like some Super Sentai baseball player. Yeah. It actually looks really rad. I do want to check it out. But that came out on the Nintendo Switch this past week.
Looks cool. I played it during Steam Next Fest like a year or two ago, and that's where we had the whole snafu where we don't know who made this thing. And whatever. So but they put this thing out finally, the full version, and it's very, if you're a Shovel Knight fan, I think have your eye on this. Like, it looks a lot like Shovel Knight, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's, it was fun. I enjoyed the demo, so I wouldn't mind playing the full game. But yeah, finally out. Just came out yesterday, I think, at the time we're recording this, Bat Boy. So keep an eye out on that. Eric, a game that I really want to play that has been on PC for a little while, just came to Switch kind of out of nowhere with zero fanfare, is The Case of the Golden Idol. This wound up on a lot of like best of.
Sounds like an Agatha Christie.
Well, that you're on the right track there. It wound up on a lot of like the best of like 2022 lists at the end of the year. And this is, Agatha Christie, not a bad comparison to make. It is a duo developer, two brothers that have made this game, and specifically they say their biggest inspiration for the game was actually Return of the Obra Dinn. This is like a detective game.
Ooh, Return of the Obra Dinn's really cool.
Yeah, it is right up my alley. I love detective games like this, but it has a very meticulous pixel art style handmade pixel art throughout the entire thing, and you're basically like watching murders unfold and trying to solve them throughout different eras of time, all kind of wrapped around this mysterious golden idol that has followed this family through generations. And so
That
you're
seems
watching.
really rad.
It sounds really interesting, and they basically, like, again, dropped it on Switch with no fanfare, and even released its DLC alongside it, which you can get in a bundle for, I think, $20. So I really, really want to play it. Yeah.
That seems pretty rad. Not gonna lie, that seems
Yeah.
really cool. I will say, let me check the notes here. It was oh, I see League of Legends in the notes. Did we find? I mean, we've gotten so many spin-offs of we had to have actually gotten League of Legends this time. It's not
Yeah,
another
no.
spin-off, right?
Yeah, no. It's another spin-off indeed. This game
Okay.
Convergence came out, and that was another like short announcement to release. I think it was just announced like a couple weeks ago. And that came out. And this actually looks pretty cool. A lot of the League of Legends spin-offs have seemed like kind of, I've only played a handful of them, but I always thought I was very whelmed by the ones that I've played. I played that
Yeah.
rhythm game one, that one where you play as like a mad scientist dude and he like blows stuff up. It's basically like a worse version of King DDD's Drum Dash Deluxe, that game. I don't remember what it was called, but I played it and it was fine. Anyways,
This was fine.
it was fine. This is actually like a 2D like action platformer, and this one actually looks pretty cool. Convergence. So check it out.
Nice. And there was one more that I wasn't really tracking at all. Didn't really have it on my radar, but you seem interested in it.
Yeah, Maquette. Annapurna
Yeah.
publishes Maquette, and this came out, I believe, last year on other platforms too. Very, very good critical reception. And this sort of looks like in the same vein, like if you like these kind of first-person puzzle games, sort of like a Talos Principle sort of thing, sort of like a like Witness kind of thing, but this looks like it actually has like a very like emotional narrative to it as well. I was surprised to see this come to Switch, and it sort of shadow dropped. Like they announced that like just a week ago or so coming to Switch. So I really want to play it. Annapurna has got a huge sale going on right now. A lot of great Annapurna titles currently on sale on the Switch, Maquette included. It just came out and it's got a launch window discount. So
Annapurna does put out a lot of games. I'm still got my fingers crossed for Stray. Still got
Yeah.
my fingers crossed for Stray.
We'll
Really
see,
hoping
dude.
that comes to the Nintendo Switch at some point. But yeah, a couple really cool games coming out. So if you've somehow already finished Breath of the Wild, if you've somehow already finished Tears of the Kingdom, there were a couple pretty interesting games to come out this week that you might want to check out. And if you're checking out any of those, let us know. If you're still playing.
Eric, hang on. We got the one behind you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The
one
I
behind you.
apologize. Getting a little ahead of
NSO
myself.
drop.
Getting a little ahead of myself. Yes. This past NSO Thursday, just last night, we did get the release, of course, of, I say, 3 new Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah.
We said it when they announced it this past week, but it is really weird because this is a weird one. We got Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Advance 2, and Super Mario Advance 3 all dropping on the Game Boy Advance NSO app as part of the expansion pack. And for those who don't know, the Super Mario Advance games are essentially just remakes, remasters of other Mario games from the Super Nintendo. They basically remade/remastered the Super Mario Brothers 2 Mario All-Stars Edition, and that's the first Mario Advance game. Super Mario World is Super Mario Advance 2, and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is Super Mario Advance 3. Are you confused yet? Good, because it confused the heck out of us back in the GBA era.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, there's another one that they just decided to leave out of this drop, which is Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Advance 4, because why not at that point?
That one's not on there?
First 3.
Dang.
Nope.
Oh man, so that's weird. For some reason I thought that one of them was like either already on there or I don't know. It was such a weird and confusing drop. I'll probably boot these up and just get that nostalgia hit and then move on with my life, to be honest.
Again, I mean, it's cool that they're here, but like I said last week, there are arguably better versions of these games There are better versions, arguably, of all three of these games on the Super Nintendo NSO app, which you don't even need to shell out extra money for.
Yeah. Well,
the Super Nintendo app is just in the base NSO subscription.
Yeah, at least boot up the first Mario Advance, because that is a really cool version of Mario 2.
It is admittedly a very different version of Mario 2.
Yeah.
It is admittedly a very different version of Mario 2. That is apparent very quickly. So, I mean, cool. It's worth checking out, I guess, if you have it. But, yeah, still a weird drop. There's a couple games on the horizon that we know are coming that I'm still super hyped for. But this one, of all the NSO drops that we've gotten, I just can't help but look at this one and just shrug.
Yeah, I said it last week, but like these should have been launch titles for the GBA app. So is what it is. But anyway, they're out this week as well. So go play those.
Yeah, if you have the ability to, go play those. And am I good? Am I still missing anything, Seth?
No, I think we got it now.
Okay, cool. Okay, we got it. So if you guys are checking those out, let us know. Whatever you guys are up to this Memorial Day weekend, let us know. Make sure to be cooking and barbecuing safely, please.
Yes.
Whatever you guys are up to this Memorial Day weekend, let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter at All In Podcast. Reach out to us on youtube.com/allinpodcast, where we, of course, break down the weekend Nintendo news live here every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching us live, go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell, notifications, subscribe, all that type of stuff. You should absolutely join our amazing Discord community. We've got a ton of stuff going on all the time, a ton of content being produced all the time for you guys, including a ton of exclusive content for our patrons.
That's right. Patreon.com/allinpodcast. A ton of friends and supporters keeping the lights on over here in All In HQ, in All In Towers South, I guess. Keeping the lights on, keeping the lights on here. We love and appreciate you guys, and they get access to all kinds of exclusive stuff. Again, 7-day free trial for the Golden Banana tier. You can check it out for yourself, see what all the fuss is about. Get access to All In Side Quest. Get the $2 Hero Cast. Get shouted out on both this show and our main podcast, All In, a Nintendo podcast, every single week, and much, much more. You can also get discounts on our merch at bit.ly/allinmerch. You can get yourself a mug like Eric has. You can get yourself a shirt like this one, like the Keep Nintendo Weird shirt that I always have in arm's reach. You can get that as well. And you can get stickers too. All kinds of stuff over there, bit.ly/allinmerch. Or Triforce tier supporters get discounts on that merch as well. Appreciate you. If you're listening to this on your podcast feed, this goes up on YouTube. But if you're listening on the podcast feed, you can also drop us 5-star ratings. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Audible, and then on Spotify, you can leave us a 5-star anonymous rating. So we super appreciate those. I think that's everything, Eric. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for supporting us.
We appreciate all you guys. You guys are amazing. For everybody who has become a patron, thank you so much. For everybody who has dropped words on whatever podcast feed you follow us on. I mean, you can even Yelp review us if you want to, frankly. I don't know if we have a Yelp, but you can make one for us and then review us on there. Sure, why not? And if you do, we appreciate that. And, everybody who's done that, everybody who's dropped words, patrons, everybody who has shared our content somewhere across this vast internet of ours, guys, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And namaste. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
Yes, namaste, everybody. That's been the news. We got the main show dropping tomorrow as well. All In, a Nintendo podcast. Drop in on your podcast feed of choice tomorrow. Again, links, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, links to that are in the video description, so you can check that out. And
that's a fun episode. We got a top 5 on this past week was National Solitaire Week, and of course, if you've seen our key art for even a second, you know that All In, I mean, it's right there in our name. We're always down for a good card game. We did a top 5 on the best Nintendo Switch card games. You definitely need to check out. We got a couple other cool things, don't we, Seth?
Yeah, we did a full rewatch retrospective on the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie, which was super fun. We got to be the only Nintendo podcast doing that this week. I'm really happy with that. And then we have an amazing indie showcase interview with Kenny Sun, the solo developer of Mr. Sun's Hatbox, which you've heard us talk about quite a bit here on our show. So and there's a moment in there where Kenny blew my mind answering one of my questions. So Very, very cool. You're going to have to tune in just to hear that interview. So great episode of All In a Nintendo podcast hitting your feeds tomorrow. We'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week for another News Roundup Live. Have a great weekend. Love you all very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Ta-da.